What up? What up? What up? It's Ibn Web Quran Assam here. Another official thing situation going on. Essex County all day edition I'm doing here. Got the pleasure of having Rodney Williams jump on here. For those who know Rodney, um, East Orange guy. Did a whole lot, continues to do a whole lot, for the city. I'm sure he'll talk about some of the stuff that they got going on for East Orange here. But I just think just for me to have the opportunity to catch him, I know we've been playing a little tag, I'm trying to get him on here, but I finally got him, and I'm excited just to talk a little bit and just have a little bit of conversation with how you here. So I'm looking forward to this. So we got Rodney Williams, East Orange's own. So let's just get to it. Okay, okay. Nah, pleasure to find for the face to a name and everything here. I
I,
know we've been playing a little tag here, so I appreciate this. I definitely appreciate this.
well, I gotta tell you, I have watched all of your programs, and I'll be frank with you, most of the guys I knew, besides my coach, Bob Lester.
Hmm.
Uh, you're doing a great job because I have a story that needs to be told. While they were in high school, they might not have got as much publicity
Yeah.
they deserved, but you give them an opportunity to tell the story. Two guys especially, you know, and Torrey Pelham, those are two of my guys, man. They go back with me to when they were old men now. I just turned 65 yesterday.
Nah, happy
So
birthday.
thanks.
Yeah,
Uh
nah, they talk highly of you, and a lot of other people do too. And I know you continue to have your hands in East Orange here as far as trying to get some things done that's
oh
probably
yeah,
long
well,
overdue.
I'm one of those, they call me an EO guy. I'll tell
Hmm.
you that since about two till just this year when our football team was 13-0 state champs.
Hmm.
I for people that fed the team breakfast and lunch before every game. From 2000, so I was on the sidelines at the Meadowlands in 2007 when we won the state championship. Be on the sideline this year because of some of my health issues, but I was at the stadium as well. Uh, the team, the school, the teachers, most of them all know who I am
Hmm.
based on me trying to inject some positive things into to the players as well as anybody that's from East Orange. And I should mention to you because I see you had a lot of Orange guys. Our family
Oh,
history is I'm from
oh.
Orange. I'm from
Okay,
Orange.
okay.
I played at the Orange Y. My grandmother lived on Main Street in Orange. Uh, I can honestly my cousin Kevin Brown played for Orange. I have a connection. I always played in the Central Playground League in Orange. You know, uh, I actually worked in a store in Orange a couple of times, so I got a history with Orange. I just that we moved to East Orange when I was young. And just to talk about a little bit me being young, I actually was born in Neptune, New Jersey. To tell you how unique the situation it is, we played Neptune in the state championship my junior year.
Wow.
Uh, my family, my aunts and a couple of my uncles lived in Manchester. So I was very familiar with the Lakewood players that we lost to in the state championship my senior year. So I
Hmm.
had a kind of connection all through the state. I my wife just gave me a note. So she told me to let you ask questions.
No. We good. We good. I'm the young boy here. I just like to sit here and
No,
listen and soak all this in.
I've seen how you run it, and you basically have let the people tell their little opening story of where they came from, what they did. I was born in Neptune, New Jersey. We moved to Orange when I lived with my grandmother in South Jersey from about 1 to 8. We moved to Orange, then we moved to East Orange to 16th Street. Uh, I started playing ball probably around 7, 8 years old. Uh, the thing that was important to me is that my neighborhood, South 16th Street, had a lot of older guys that I hung out with and went to the gym with and played. I transitioned to Arcadian Gardens, which became Little City when
Mhm.
I was, I want to say about 13, 14 years old. And basketball was like everything to me. I mean, I actually put the rims up down there. I kind of, yeah, I'll tell you that our first basketball court was right in front of my apartment. I lived in building 11, which Sharif lived on the second floor.
Mhm.
I played so much late at night that they moved the court. They moved it from there all the way to down on Ninth Avenue.
Mm.
That's where, I play that all the time. I know that I think about my upbringing, and I was blessed, man, because I was relying on a lot of older guys that really showed me the way. They on 16th Street and even in the projects. I hung out with a guy named Fred Perry. He was a great shooter that played on our 72 state championship team. Wilbur Ross, who played at Weequay, was somebody who came by and played with me one-on-one sometime. You know, this is in my 13, 14, 15-year age. So I had a love for the game. You know, I think what most of the guys shared with you when they came on was how their upbringing in basketball helped them survive and do other things in life.
Mm-hmm.
I can actually say that basketball was a vehicle for me that helped me do and gain a lot of knowledge in life, besides college, besides just being somebody in the community that people kind of respected and looked up to. That was important to me, to have a good reputation. Now, I talked a little trash, you know, in the park, you know, especially at Orange Park.
Yeah, you're supposed
Yeah,
to.
you know, I played at every park, Orange, Oval, Starville. I love the Branchbrook League. I played in the Branchbrook League with a team from Newark that was really good. Had Johnny Flood, Harry Barnes, this guy named Ice from West Side. Johanna ran the team. It was called High Tension.
Okay.
Played on some great summer league teams, one with Mike McNair. I name these people because these are all people that touched me and kind of inspired me to become who I am today. The intriguing part about your show is I hear you're a listener, and that's a good thing, because I mean, listening is a skill. A lot of people can't do that. I sometimes am overpowering because I talk for a living. I worked, you know, in the insurance industry for 20 years with Cigna, with Bank of America, and then I had my own agency. So I think when I see your show, I see a lot of the guys are very quiet. That's not me, except my man JoJo Waters. No. And Hatari Saladin, you know. The team that Hatari coached in the summer leagues, I put together, you know, the team with Robert Cole, Tony Duncan. You know, Hatari's always been kind of like a mentor to most ball players from the Essex County area. You know, I'm always intrigued with what you gain from being a basketball player. I think what I gained from being a basketball player was not only the camaraderie part of it, but it gave me an opportunity to see different aspects of life, because I played everywhere. I had no problem going down Scudder Homes, going down the hole. My sister actually lived in front of the hole in the projects. So I played everywhere. Sometimes I couldn't wear my jacket because then I'd have to run to the bus stop to get away. But I played everywhere. You know, Robert Cole is one of my better friends. Cleo Hill Jr., one of my better friends. You know, I still am in touch with them every day. In fact, Robert's son, I think I mentioned to you, RJ plays for UConn.
Yeah,
RJ
I'm up here. That's right. I'm up here. So yeah, he plays at UConn.
I don't know, man. I you know, I like what you're doing. I feel like what you're doing is, like I mentioned earlier, is something that's necessary. And then when I talk about my basketball career at East Orange High School, I think back to my freshman year. I played in 18 games. Kenny Macklin was the coach. I only got in 2 games my freshman year. From 7th and 8th grade, man, I could always shoot, but I couldn't guard you in a phone booth. I couldn't guard anyone, you know. and Mac, you know, he was a defensive perfectionist. He wanted you to be able to play deep. And he told me, he said, you know, you're a good shooter, but you can't guard anyone. So I was blessed, man. I had a grandmother, man. She was always in my corner on everything, bro. She sent me to basketball camp at the summer of my freshman year. I didn't tell anybody. I just went. It was actually Julius Irving's camp too. When I came home, I was a lockdown defender, but I learned everything about defense. All 4 corners or defenders, how to push people to where you wanted them to go, how to cut off your left hand. So my sophomore year, I averaged about 25 a game on the JV, but I always guarded the hardest guard, you know, the toughest guard. That got me in a varsity game my first year as a junior. We were playing Central. I don't know if you know the name, Earl Williams, big guard from Central. He was real tough. Went to Utah, real tough player. And we're in the end of the game. We up 1, and Max says, "Put Rodney in." I'm like sitting on the bench saying, "What? You know, this is varsity. All the lights packed at home." I get in. He had me backpedaling all the way, and the ball hit off his foot and went out of bounds. Voila! I'm a defensive specialist all of a sudden, which I wasn't. But hey, you got to take the opportunity and breaks when you get it. I starting varsity as a junior. You know, I played with great player Ken Young. Unfortunately, he's passed. Went to Duke. We won the state championship. We won the county tournament. Beat Orange, which was undefeated at that time. I heard Jim Tynes talking about it. You know, it was he did the work. I was guarding. He was working. He had about 28. Everybody said he signed to go to Seton Hall right after the game, after that show. But I'll be frank with you. We just had probably one of the greatest players ever in Clee Eugene.
Yeah.
Bad boy, man, do everything. You know, he just was unstoppable. And he had just been in the hospital for 2 weeks after a hernia operation. He dropped 24. We had 5 people in double figures. All of us had double figures, and we won it. That was probably one of the biggest victories I ever took part in. You know, because they had beat us 2 times in the regular season at home and at their place, and then we beat them. They ended up number 1. We ended up number 2. They were 29-1. We were 25-4. You know, that was a great team. My senior year, that was a monster team. I tell people all the time, I think to this day, it's still one of the greatest teams East Orange High School ever had.
Yeah.
I mean, we had won 39 straight. We went to the state championship undefeated, 29-0. We played Lakewood, Kelvin Troy. They had a good crew. They was a good team. We had played them earlier in the year and had a tough scrimmage with them. They handled our press better than anyone ever handled our press. Because I think I sent you those scores we had. We hit 100 over 7-8 times that year without the 3-point line. See, I tell people I play without the 3-point line.
That's right.
3-point line down, I probably got another 500 points because I was only shooting 23 and 25 footers when I shot. You know, I played with 2,000-point scores. Booker and Clee Eugene both of us scored 1,000. I had 750. If I had played anywhere else without the scores that we had, I probably would have more. But it wasn't, you know, my thing to be the top scorer. My thing was to be a spoke in the wheel, but just make sure the wheel keeps rolling, and we did. That was the key. We lost that game coming back from 11 with like 3 minutes to go, taking the lead with 6 seconds, having the horn go off, having us leave the court, and having them call us back out with 2 seconds on the clock, and let Kelvin Troy shoot 2 free throws to beat us.
So what happened? So they thought the game was over, and they had to pull you.
Everybody thought the game was over.
Okay.
But the ref said that it was 2 seconds, put 2 seconds back on the clock, and let a guy shoot 2 free throws, Kelvin Troy. Now, he was a good player. He was a sophomore there, but it was a tough way to lose a game, especially when you went in there undefeated, 39 straight wins.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I'll say this. We were a class act because we got the Sportsmanship of the Year award from the state because there was no repercussion. We just left. It was just heartbreaking, man. You know, I'll be frank with you. My 2 years on varsity, I played it in 59 games and only played in 5 losing games in 2 years. Yeah. So I was not accustomed to losing, bro. You know, and I tell people all the time, I played against Edgar Jones at Barringer. Guy Garland at Scott. And I always talk about that Scott thing because they won a state championship. They won the Group 1 state championship 75. Guy was a big time scorer. And I'm modest, but I do have to say I put the clamps on him. He only had 10 against us. And we beat them by 35. So that's telling you, we were a real club. I looked at what I wanted to do after high school. My mom's dad got divorced. I really wanted to go to Loyola in Chicago. Okay. I ended up going to a D3 school, Fairleigh Dickinson at Madison, Florham Park. I had a good career. I mean, I think my first year I was Rookie of the Year in New Jersey. I had a great career, but what it did for me, because at that time in the 70s, early 70s, there wasn't many Black people on campus, bro.
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Madison is those New Jersey,
white.
So it's a world.
Let me tell you something.
It's a whole world away. Yeah.
Man, that's like, even though it's only a half hour away from East Orange up 24, it was like I was in a whole different world. But it helped me. It helped me long term because it showed me how to interact with people of other colors, you know, of other classes.
Yes.
We were 4 brothers on campus. All 4 of us were on the team. 3 of us were from East Orange. Derek Morton, Jimmy Saunders, who's a great player, played on our state championship team in 72. He came from a JUCO. He scored probably 1,500 points in 2 seasons. But what it did for me from a work perspective, preparing me for the future, is that I had met a CEO of a company. And he said, man, he liked how I was. He liked how articulate I was. And he gave me my first job opportunity as a marketing coordinator for a company called Foundation Health Plan. That got me into healthcare, got my life and health license, started working for Cigna, Connecticut General, 20 years. And then I went over to Bank of America for 11. From that, I branched out, got my own agency. Me and a Spanish brother from Elizabeth called Integrity Insurance Service. We did that together, and we still kind of touch base on it now for the next maybe 10 years after I left Cigna. So that was over 30 years I had in the business. Unfortunately, I had started to have some medical issues. And in fact, that's why I said my wife, I owe her a debt of gratitude for life. 4 years ago, she gave me a kidney. I had a kidney transplant, which, that I got to tell you, being on dialysis and dealing with all the issues that you have to deal with, there's nothing more troubling than that. More, actually, not troubling, but hard as that is. From a basketball perspective, I always had a pro-am team, played in Harry James leagues. I love coaching people. I had my own league down at Arcade and Gardens, Little City, which we had a lot of great players come down. Sigma, Dyran Thomas. We just had players from everywhere playing that league. Had that for about 3 summers, and I think that when you talk about who you played against and what you did against them, I think some of that's cool. But I think what's most important is I think most of the people that are real ball players, they let their games do the talk. I like you said, you've heard a little bit about me or whatever. I like to think that those people who said something good about me recognize that I was an all-around player. I mean, I could definitely shoot, definitely score, but my IQ was very high. In fact, I'll tell you, when I was a freshman in high school, and this might sound crazy, but I could name all 26 NBA teams' rosters from top to bottom, every play.
Yeah.
I was like, they used to call me the almanac in high school, right? My freshman year. Only because I think if you play something or you're involved with something, you should know everything about it. Who was it, how it was invented, who invented it, and know the statistics. I got to tell you, I am a LeBron James man. That's my guy, man.
Okay.
Only because, he's all around. He's community driven, bro.
Yes.
I hear people say negatives about him, but that's just jealousy. I think there's probably people that don't like me, and that's okay too, because you probably have some that don't like you. But as long as they respect you, that's the key.
Right.
That's the trigger. When you started doing this, I'm sure you looked at, I want to have the right kind of people on it, the right type of people that kind of generate interest from other people, that other people recognize and know. Not that I'm recognized worldwide or internationally, that kind of stuff, but locally, I think if you mention my name, people say good things about me. That I've tried to be genuine with everybody.
Yes.
That's why I had said to I was talking to James Pitchford today. I don't know if you know James Pitchford. He played for East Orange. Yeah, he played for East Orange. He played with Clyde, and they won championship. I was talking to him this morning. I talk to him almost every day.
Okay.
And I told him I was going to be on your program. He said, "Oh man, that's good done. What are you going to do? What are you going to say?" I said, "Well, man." I said, I've seen this brother's show, and he lets you do your thing. I just hope I have enough material without having to start telling jokes to fill in some time. So
we can throw the jokes in regardless.
Yeah, and then I've seen you had what's the young guy's name? He used to you had 3 guys on one time. One of them was a young guy that played for East Orange, played football and basketball, lived down Hollywood Ave. Johnson was his last name. Shamil Simpkins.
Oh, you're talking about Shamil? Yes.
Shamil, he's another young guy. I used to always get on it, man. Come on, man, come on. Because if he stayed focused, he was a good player. In more than one sport. He was a great running back, but he just was that hard guy. And he was tough. Like even my Omar Cooper, my man Abdul Mattis. He's another guy. Wealth of talent, quarterback, unreal. I think of him, Angelo Garnett. I think a lot of the young guys that I touched, because I've always gotten their ear and said, don't do it that way, do it this way. Not that they listened, but it gave them a chance to get a feel from they always said, all right, OG, all right, OG. And I said, that's okay. I never had any sons. I've got 2 daughters. So I looked at all the guys that I knew playing ball from around the way. I never liked the term hood. I like inner city better than I like hood. Hood gives the impression, just like that Black thing, gives the impression that we're not qualified or shouldn't be considered on the same status as everybody else. So I say inner city. The hood thing is something that unfortunately some people put on us as we couldn't reach higher standards, which we can. We've done it. I mean, look at it. Think about it. In every aspect of business and every aspect of sports, we're the top. We're prime. We just have to respect it and continue to have it grow. I'm really down on this virtual learning thing, because I think there's so many things that we need in person. But I understand, with COVID and all the things that are going on in the world, our kids, are suffering more because now they're on virtual. The attention span might not be there for them to be on virtual for long periods of time.
Right.
You probably know it better than I do. I mean, I see you virtual almost every day, but I'm sure that when you speak to guys about their ball playing or what they're doing now, they like the fact that they get a chance to share that with you, but they also feel like I do. I'm going to sit on the computer and talk to this brother for a long time. I want to let him do some talking and ask me some questions too. So if you get a chance, if there's something you want to know or something you want to ask, I'm more than happy to help and assist and answer it.
Nah, I appreciate it. Actually, you brought up the whole and actually I'm gonna veer off just for a sec with the sports, but you
Okay.
talked about the whole to start your own business and everything. Like what
Mhm.
made you do that? I mean, again, I was always told, obviously God bless the child that has his own. And
Mhm.
and being making your own decisions and not having to go to nobody to ask for a day off is one of the best feelings in the world. Like what was your drive and incentive to excuse me to do that?
Okay. Well, it's something when you're in the insurance business. When I first started working at Cigna, there was a lot of information that you had to retain. You had to get a license, life
Hmm.
and health. I had did all that, and the company paid for it, as well as the company paid for my license in 40 states.
Yes.
So I could sell insurance or promote insurance in 40 different states across the country. But what I realized, even though I was making good money, don't get me wrong, good commissions, I started looking at what they made compared to what I was getting paid.
Right.
And I was the one standing out in front of customers, explaining in detail on the plans, making sure they were comfortable and knew how to use the plans. And I have to be honest, I had never been fired in my life.
Hmm.
I left Cigna and I went to a smaller company called Mika Sharkey. And I had some guarantees that I had to reach. I brought 5 customers with me, not realizing I had a non-compete. What a non-compete is means after 2 years after you leave a company, you can't touch any of their business. They were going to sue my new company and they
Hmm.
wanted me to give those customers back. So they fired me. And the day I got fired, it was funny. I wasn't like, because I had never been fired before. I hadn't been in the workforce over 30 years.
Hmm.
I said to myself and to my friend Caesar, I said, yo, man, why are we doing this for them, making them rich? Well, you and I are the actual people out front doing all the work. It's kind of like almost an indentured servant type thing, except we're getting paid. So he said, you know what, man, let's do it. He was Spanish. And that was a plus because he was bilingual. He
Right.
could speak to Spanish customers. I can handle the blue collar, white collar. See, I was a chameleon. I could speak in any tongue I needed to speak in with
Hmm.
regards to not talking over people, just making sure they had got the message. So we went out. We had like 3 or 4 customers. But I will tell you, my ties to Essex County really helped. Because when I went back to a lot of the people that knew me, basically knew me personally, they got me the opportunities with their companies to bring in insurance. So that's how we grew. We started out maybe with 15, 20 customers. We grew to about 30, 40 customers in a short period of time. And you're right, there was nothing like all the money coming to us.
Yes.
I was like, now, wow, instead of making 50,000, 60,000 a year, I was making 200. I was
Hmm.
making 250. It was off the charts. And it impacts you later in life because now my Social Security is great. I
Hmm.
mean, I look at what you do, what you put in, you're not going to ever get it all back, but you're going to get a larger portion of it back if you put a larger amount in. I guess I would say the incentive was when I first got out of college, my grandmother was excited that I was the first and only one in my family to graduate.
Yeah.
But more importantly, when I got my own, unfortunately, she wasn't alive to see it. I know she would have been happy that I stepped out and took the matter into my own hand to be an independent employee of myself. Uh, it was good.
Hmm.
And I tell you, it gives me a good feeling now to know that I did that. And that's why I try to inspire our younger people,
Right.
football players, basketball players. Hey, listen, you can work for somebody, you can do your own thing, and you can do your own thing too. You know, there's a young brother from Little City. He just passed. A couple of maybe 2 months ago, he had a store on Main Street. Good brother, man. He did the same thing. He used to be out there running around a little bit, hanging with the wrong people, doing the wrong, but he grew and got his own business. I don't care what your business is. If it's yours and it's
Yours.
legitimate, there's nothing like it. I would
Hmm.
always say it's important for especially a young Black man to recognize his talent, whatever it may be. You
Hmm.
know, people say, "Oh, he's a drug." I said, "Listen, let me tell you something. A drug dealer's got to have talent that he can convert to something legitimate. First of all,
Right.
he's got to be organized. He's got to be somebody that knows numbers because of the
Right.
math and the money, and he's got to be somebody that can coordinate because he coordinates the people that run for him or that he runs for. He can convert that into his own business. And a lot of them do. They open a clothing store, they open whatever it may be, and they're able to handle it. You just have to get out of the game sooner than later, more
Right.
likely sooner. So I have never had a knock on a person for that. I've tried to put it in perspective. Some of us do what we have to do. Just don't think you can do it forever because you can't. That's my theory. But no, I was proud of myself and still am proud of myself from taking that road.
Nah, which you should be. And like I said, I just love to hear stories like that. And again, to your point here, a lot of us blacks, we don't get to hear that or pursue that just for whatever obstacle or hurdles. I mean, sometimes you just gotta jump in the pool. I mean, you're gonna sink or swim, but at least you know you got in the pool, and I think a lot of people sometimes afraid to just take that leap.
Well, I think it's, what, if you look at society, sometimes we're not afraid to take the leap. It's just we got somebody standing in front of us that won't let us jump off that edge. And when I say somebody, I don't blame everything on the white man. I blame a lot of it on us, and also on a lot of us who are successful that block other brothers. Like, I've never been jealous or envious of a brother that was successful, no matter what he or she did. I always thought that, wow, that inspired me to do something to be like them. I've had a lot of heroes. I mean, I say my uncle, Joe Johnson, he was the first one that introduced me to ball. He also introduced me to wardrobe. My great-grandfather, Washington Howard, always, and I lived with him. This guy was get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go to bed at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. But he introduced me to maintaining how I look, keeping myself up. So I learned from all the brothers that were around me, especially when I was young. I think, and that's why I do what I do now. We have to give back to young people because they're in a tougher situation than we are. They have a lot more opportunities to mess up. They got video games, they got phones, all we had was maybe a bike and a basketball or football. We didn't have a lot of opportunities, and a lot of ways to mess up. So I don't know. I think that's why I enjoy my connection to East Orange campus so much. In fact, I have an East Orange campus sweatshirt now.
Nah, I noticed when you had the red on. I knew something. I knew what was going on. I knew.
I look at, I was talking to one of our security people there, Farida Brown. She always gives me the scores when I can't go to the game because we live out in PA now, about 2.5 hours away from New Jersey. Okay. So I would call in, coordinate the breakfast for them, and I would call her and she would tell me the score. And I took pride in the fact that we were undefeated this year. That was a big, big accomplishment. I'm proud of our coach, Ray Oliver. He's a great guy. 5 years, he's done a great job. Proud of his staff, Eric Palmer. There's so many people that I can name that have made me feel so proud to be connected with EOC. I'm a Panther, and sometimes we got that little lingo. Why the Jaguars, not the Panthers? But they're the new generation, and we have to promote and preserve their opportunities like somebody did for us. See, I grew up under the fact that Mr. Miles, Mr. Pitchford, Mr. Oliver, Bill Smith, a lot of the older guys who made the way for young guys. I played for Mr. Miles and Herman Cowan in Philadelphia in Bill Berry League when I was 14, 15. I would travel with them, his son Tyrone, Clyde Bradshaw. I've always been in the circle of people that were progressive. And I think that's why I try to make everybody around me be progressive. That's not me blowing my own horn. That's just me being factual. Sometimes you hear people say, well, I won't say that because I sound conceited or arrogant. No, I'm none of those things. I'm real. And people tell you, I'll keep it real, whether it hurts you or helps you. But most importantly, I'll tell you the truth. That gives you the opportunity to say, well, I can either take the advice or not take it. I think about way back when I was younger, the young guys around, Jeff Stewart, Vinnie James, the late Terry James, just so many of Greg McKellar, late Greg McKellar, so many of them young guys around me, Dow Johnson, that made me feel so, prominent amongst them because they always would say they look up to me, they want to be me, which I would tell them, be you, just be a great you. I said I was going to mention so many names like Joe Smith, just so many names, man. It's just hard when you're growing up and you're 65. I got a lot of information stored,
It's all good. It's all good.
I want to make sure that I cover the bases best I can and mention those who have inspired me. But then I have to mention those who have loved me, all 4 of my sisters. I'm the oldest. I have 4 sisters, Ruthie, Sharon, Karen, Denise. My wife, Lori, my 2 daughters, Jasmine and Tasia, my grandbaby, Harley. Those
I ask how you navigate all that. You like the only man in the mix here.
Yeah, I try to be I wouldn't say universal. I try to be as well-rounded as a Black man can be in America. I have this saying, people call me up and say, how you doing today? I said, well, I'm doing okay for a Black man in Biden's America, which is much better than Trump's America. But I'm still a Black man in America. There's a different standard that we have to agree to or follow. There's a different way we are looked at and perceived by other people. And I don't say just white people. We perceive each other differently sometimes. We hold each other back because, again, of jealousy, whatever the case may be. And I just hope and pray that one day our next generation and the generation after them understand just how important it is to help each other. Say, you can stand on my shoulders. I don't have a problem with that. As long as you realize that somebody might one day come stand on yours, you know? And see, you're doing that. When you're doing this, you're letting people stand on your shoulders. You know, you might not realize it, but
yeah, I don't. I feel like I'm
let me tell
standing
you,
on this.
You don't realize how many people talk about this program. You know, I talk about it a lot. I said, yeah, I said, the brother, he doesn't, you know, he lets you till you do your thing. He's getting knowledge. He's absorbing because you don't know a lot of these guys you're talking to. Like when you were talking to Lou Grimsley, did you know Lou Grimsley? Did you know who he was? Knew of him. Yes. I'll tell you a story about him. That guy was an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
I never played against him because he's older than me. But in 1972, we played weekly in ECT. They beat us in the ECT, our 72 team, which was #1 in the state. We beat them in the state tournament, though. And one day, I used to go to the Gatlin gym. I don't know if you know Gatlin in Irvington. I used to go over there and play pickup on Wednesday nights. So he comes in there. Everybody's, oh, Lou's here, Lou. I knew who he was. And I'm playing against him. It's like 4-on-4. And he's talking a lot of junk. Easton, such, I got you. So he had a few buckets on me. Then my man Kasim, God rest his soul, he said, Rod, you got to spray him. I sprayed him about 7-8 times in a row. And then after the game, he said, oh, you a fighter, huh? I said, bro, I got to defend myself, bro. You out here shooting at me. I got to shoot back. And I just gave me a different understanding of how he was, whether it was on the real court or a pickup game. He was always going to be that guy, you know, that one. He had this unbelievable spin move, bro. But, you know, I won't get into all what he could do, but it was a good experience for him. Even though we both in our 30s, our careers are over. But, you know, you're still feisty, man, when you get out there.
Still got it, yeah.
And I still had that weapon. I think I told somebody, I said, I shot a layup a couple of months, about a year ago, 2 years ago. I was out of breath shooting layup, so I know. I know that I can't shoot that jumper no more, but I still love the game, still watch it, you know. And speaking to Tori, because Tori called me up. I said, yeah, Tori, I saw you on my man's show. He said, yeah, right, man. He said, I remember you shooting that because Orange Park, we be battling, B, him, Cleo. A lot of guys come out there after working battle. He said, I remember. I said, yeah, you know what, man? That's an experience you'll always have all your life. When you play ball with real players, or even people that you don't consider as good or as high a standard as you might want, you never forget it. I know there's people I played against. I remember I was at the mall shopping. This guy said, oh, you that guy with that jump shot. I said, I know you. He said, man, you sprayed me over Salvo Park one day, man, like I had broken your house. I said, oh. I said, thanks, bro. I appreciate you acknowledging. He said, no, man. He said, I talked about you for about 2 months because you hit like 10, 11 in a row on me. I said, well, did you say something to me that triggered? He said, no, and that's the thing. I wasn't even talking because I couldn't stop you. I said, well, that's I might got caught up in the flashback, thought you was somebody else. And we laughed when the person I was with got in the car. She said, he didn't know your name, but he remembered that you sprayed him. What does that mean? I said, I know I didn't spray, I didn't shoot him.
Right.
I thought you was a shooter. I was gonna have you drop me off.
Yeah, shooting in different terms.
Yeah. You went to Montclair Immaculate. Huh?
Yes.
Okay. My man's son played up there. In fact, he's at Hofstra now. What is his name? Young brother. He's from Montclair.
Okay.
Stacey James, Harry James' daughter's son. He's a good little player. He's at Hofstra now. Earl Flanagan, one of our guys, was played at Hofstra.
Yeah, no, I remember. No, I remember Earl. No, I talked to him. I remember saying that he was at Hofstra.
You know, I don't know if anybody. Well, I think I told you that I started at East Orange Basketball Hall of Fame.
That's what I was going to ask you about. And all. How's that going?
It's going great. We had over 584 votes in. We've got nominees from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s to 2000. And it's actually a web page up. You can definitely go on. There's a place you can vote. And then I try to, we're doing fundraisers. So I've been promoting our fundraisers of pictured Cubs, players, people like Greg McLaughlin, Sigma, Earl, a lot of the younger players. Well, I said younger than me, that purchased mugs with their pictures on from high school. So we're going good. I'm anticipating COVID allowing that we're going to have in the spring, maybe you can attend a ceremony to make our first inductions. 7 players from each era. Yeah,
oh, wow.
spring.
Oh, we're gonna have that's gonna be an all-nighter. You get 7. Yeah, that sounds good though.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that what I'm going to do so it doesn't be too drawn out and long. I'm going to have just a small video on each of the recipients.
Okay.
Have the video played, show them all, and have them come up one at a time and take it, and kind of a quickly, orderly fashion. We're going to have hors d'oeuvres and a few things, and give guys, for the most part of the time, to mingle and tingle with each other and talk about the good old days. I try to make it so that it's not done by any committee. It's done by the people that actually maybe saw them play or know of them, the voting process. I think the downside with the East Orange Hall of Fame, which is in place, is the committee picks the people. Sometimes when it comes to playing, a comparison of different players might be different between the committee members. In this case, the fans, they're going to pick their favorites. But real basketball people are going to say, well, based on this guy was credible. Even though his team might not have won as much, he was a great player. We have had a lot of great players. We have over 75 nominees.
A whole lot.
At East Orange, I mean, you just name them. I tell people, well, Mark Gray's our all-time lead scorer. They go, who? I said, Mark Gray. He's a great player. His team won the Essex County Tournament Championship. He played with Earl Flanagan. He was very fortunate, one of the only people ever in East Orange history that played varsity as a freshman. A freshman, 4 years, so his total. He gets teased. He played varsity since he was in his 6th grade, all that stuff. But hey, the guy was a good player. I don't care how long you play, you got to still be able to put the ball in the basket.
That's right. That's right.
I kid people and say, I took more pride in locking people up than I did in scoring. But people only remember those who had that jump shot or could get to the basket and score. It seems like those are the guys you remember. I try to put myself in other people's place when it comes down to how I opinionate myself. So like I say, I was a spoke in the wheel, but I made sure that wheel turned all the time and we won. That's the key. A lot of guys had tremendous stats. Like JoJo Walters. He was unbelievable at Vailsburg High School. He was a leading scorer in Essex County and didn't make first team all county, which is ridiculous.
Crazy, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he shared that with you.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And that's when your coach sent in your data. His coach was I think his coach was a little jealous. I don't know. Maybe his coach was a player, so I don't know. But he was unbelievable. I speak of him because there's a handful of guys that I look at to say definitely should be pro. JoJo's one of them, definitely should be pro. Even your man Skipper. If Skipper had a different attitude, Skipper could play pro. He was that good. I started winning the Tournament of Champions. I was at the game when they beat Camden. He was unreal.
It was Patterson Catholic with Tim Thomas.
That's right. Yeah. Right. He was a good player. There's been so many good players in Essex County, in the East Orange area, North area, that it's hard to name them all. I mean, I can name some of the guys that didn't get as much pub that were great players. They were spokes. Some people are just meant to be spokes in the wheel. What I took pride in is my coach, Bob, always thought I was vital. He always said I was an important part of the success we had. And that made me always feel good and proud. Your notoriety comes based on what you feel you're doing and based on, most importantly, your coach, the surroundings, some of the players, the fans. But when it's all said and done, your legacy, what you leave here, is basically not how much you had, what you did, what you gave. It's how much people respected you. See, I think I'm going to do pretty good. My legacy is good. Not that I'm ready to leave this earth.
Yeah, no, we ain't going nowhere.
I hope not, bro. Believe me. So did you have any more questions for me?
No, we good. I was you mentioned the whole, obviously with the red sweatshirt you got on there. How'd you feel when they had to combine there as far as when Scott EO had to come together?
Well, I'm a Panther and my wife's a Panther too. And we promote Panther. I was kind of disappointed that they changed the name to East Orange Campus High
Okay.
School Jaguars. I think it should have just been East Orange High School Panthers. And I'll tell you why. And I'm sure I'll get pushback from a lot of Scotties because they push back on me now about them not being included in the EOHS Hall of Fame.
Mhm.
I just felt like the East Orange High School had the longevity in terms of how long it existed, as well as the transition from East Orange, the white East Orange, and again, I'm not racial,
Right.
to the black East Orange all happened at East Orange High School. In fact, Clifford Scott was really, in my opinion, developed for white people to go to because they wanted to segment how East Orange was divided. It's only 3.9 miles of territory, but if you think about back in the early 50s, 60s, Clifford Scott was all white. East Orange was all white too, but the black transition in East Orange High School happened very, very much faster.
Mhm.
Clifford Scott was kind of like an upper echelon high school in East Orange. You know, you had to live in a nice house, you had to be in a certain segment of the city. Now, when they merged the two, they were both almost all black. It's 2000 when they merged.
Mhm.
So they could have just said, hey, listen, let's have a sit down, let's vote, let's have the municipality involve some of the students present and past, make a determination on what we're going to call it. I know we weren't going to be the East Orange High School Terriers, or, you know, and the East Orange High School Panthers to me made sense, but they wanted to kind of eliminate the history of both. So they made it to East Orange campus because it was on Upsala's campus, Jaguars.
Oh, so there wasn't even no voting on the name or nickname or anything.
No, I think politics played a big part. I think
Okay.
what they tried to do is say, listen, let's eliminate the history of both schools. Even though East Orange had more, especially from a sports perspective, a greater history. I'll be honest, when I drove by the demolition of the gym, Winans, they still had the banners up on the wall knocking the building down.
Mm.
They actually were throwing the trophies from the trophy case in the garbage.
Kind of decent.
Luckily, me and Steve
Crazy.
Cowan, we were able to save some and take them over. Some of them are now inside the library at STEM Academy. In fact, that trophy I mentioned, the Sportsmanship of the Year award that went to us in '75, is still in the library. The 30-0 or 27-0 East Orange Panthers girls basketball team led by Paulette and Janice Walker was saved. And that trophy case, I don't know if you ever saw it. That trophy case in the lobby was loaded. Back-to-back state football champions, undefeated for 2 years, state football. They just wanted to throw away that history. That troubled me. You know, but again, that's what happens in the inner city. If that would have been Montclair, especially if that had been Montclair, there's no way that their trophies, as many as they had, would have been thrown away. They would have been put in some sort of library or somewhere to be preserved.
Right.
You know, but it's politics. You know, I wasn't so upset about the merger. I think the merger was long overdue when it happened. I was upset about the way they just determined the name and the logo. But I support the Jaguars. I mean, I've got a lot of Jaguar memory because I've been supporting them since 2005 in terms of, you know, provide. I've given trophies to the soccer team, the girls softball team. I sponsored 2 Christmas tournaments for the East Orange Campus basketball team, which unfortunately we didn't win. And I had the bigger trophies go to the team in New York. I've tried to be as level as I could be. Now, I was really disappointed with the coaching changes they made because, you know, Billy Levin and I are good friends. He had turned our basketball program around.
Yeah, I just interviewed Billy. So
Billy, you know, he did an unbelievable job at East Orange.
yes.
We went from being 4-18 to playing in the county tournament finals and semifinals and the sectional champ. We went 25-5 his second year coaching. Politics again got him put out of place. Now he's at Morris Catholic.
He talked about it. Yeah, he talked about
it. He's at Morris Catholic doing his thing. You know, it just came down and blew our girls out down at the Prudential Center last week. You know, I don't hold that against anyone but the upper echelon people, superintendent. You know, I won't say the mayor because he wasn't mayor when Billy was there. But
now let me ask, these decision makers, these politicians, are they from East Orange? I will hope not. I will hope not making like the trophies and the situation with Billy and everything else. I mean, because if they like homebred, that's a whole nother feeling.
Well, it's intriguing because some of them were, some of them weren't. Some of them in position were from East Orange. And I think some of them that were in a position where they could have made a difference. For some reason, and maybe this is my own personal feeling. One thing about me, I can say what I want because I don't work for anybody. Nobody can cut my lights off with me not paying. I felt like a lot of them were insecure about Billy because he was a go-getter. He got a lot of positive publicity for the city. Big article and about our academics and basketball pulling up. He had stories, Star Ledger. He started lacrosse. Because he worked recreation too. He started a lot of different programs. And I think they were insecure. Hey, this guy's showing me up. Hey, this guy is good. And not realizing that if your staff or your people that work with you are good, it only makes you look better.
Right.
But again, that's that thing I talked about that we do to each other. You know, oh man, what is this guy doing? You know, the way they got him out was ridiculous. That he supposedly canceled an order of sandwiches or something. I don't know if he told you that, but it was ridiculous. You know, he had helped a player who was homeless for one night. He got in trouble for that. So
he talked about it.
He made it through that. You know why he made it through? Because he's a good guy. You know, God is going to take care of the people that are good people most of the time, if not all of the time. I was disappointed with the politics that lost us a really good coach. Not knocking Baltimore, the guy they have now. I hear he's doing an excellent job. I haven't seen the East Orange ball. I did see one on TV last year, but I haven't seen the boys play but one time in the last 5 years. And that's not me boycotting the kids, because I still have helped some of those kids. That's me saying, hey, listen, the people that are making the ultimate decisions, they are not people I want to interact with. You know, football, Ray and them, they're doing the right thing. You know, I'm hoping that there's a change. I wouldn't say there has been a change. In fact, Jamal Williamson, who is a good guy, EO guy, nominee for Hall of Fame, is the principal or vice principal at East Orange campus now. Okay. That's a good change. You know, he's a good guy. You know, should have been our head football coach a few years ago, but politics got him out of that, you know, or didn't allow him to be that. So that's a part of everything, especially in small inner cities like ours, East Orange, Irvington, Orange. You know, you don't see that well, a little in the Montclairs. They control everything in Montclair. Who's going to coach? If they lose, like now, what are they? 14 and 14 over the last 2 years. Montclair football, that's not good. That's not acceptable.
Right.
We've beaten them 4 straight times, once in the playoffs. So I'm sure they're going to be looking for a coach pretty soon, if they're not already. But now, you know, it's funny. Back in 2000, I think it was 2002, I tried to become a part of the Board of Education in East Orange. Sent a letter to the mayor, Mayor Bowser. He explained, oh, I'll be a great guy, but I didn't live in East Orange at the time. And the rule was you had to live in the city to be on the Board of Education, which I'm sure that I could have got a phony address like most of them do, but I wanted to do it the right way, so I just moved on with it. I don't know. You probably know as well as I do that there's a lot of politics associated with a lot of these cities, especially the inner cities. You know.
No, definitely. I mean, and just talking about East Orange, I mean, what's one of the biggest changes you've seen since growing up to now? Just, I know you obviously you're out in PA now, but just staying in the know and everything. What's like the differences here?
The biggest change for me, and it's happening right now, if you drive over to Main Street, you see they knocked down everything. They've knocked down Brick Church all completely. They're knocking down locations to put in the high-rise apartments, to gentrification, to make sure that the guy or gal who's living in New York paying $4,000 for rent can now move to East Orange, pay $3,000 for a one-bedroom, and catch the train to work. They're moving a whole segment of people out of East Orange because they can't afford to live in specific locations in East Orange. I'm not saying so much the homeowners, but I'm saying the guy or gal who has an apartment right now, they can't afford, those apartments are going to raise their rent, and the new ones that they're building, they're not going to be able to afford. So they're pushing a whole segment of East Orange people out of East Orange. Where they go, Irvington, Orange, or out of the state. I mean, because the prices are ridiculous. I lived on South Harrison Street. Me and my wife lived on South Harrison, 394, which is right across Orange Park. The new building that I call the Titanic that they built on South Harrison, I don't know if you saw it. It's gigantic.
I haven't seen the new one, yeah.
No, one bedroom is like $2,500. You know, so you think, who can afford that? And they've got a van that goes from there right to the train station. So who do you think is moving in there? Right. Guys and gals who don't have cars. Because in New York, you don't really own a car. You know, you subway. They're moving those people in. And if I'm paying $3,500 and I go pay $2,500, and I just got to catch the train to work, a 20, 30-minute ride, I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're going to see a lot of changes in the stores. Right now, they don't have a restaurant in these stores. You can't name a restaurant you can go sit. I'm not talking McDonald's or Burger King or Wendy's. I'm talking a restaurant that you can go sit down and have a meal in. So they don't have that, but they're going to have it. You're going to see the big time fancy coffee places come there. Watch, it's going to change. And
You
it's
think
going
like
to
the Central Ave and Main Streets?
oh yeah, yeah. It's going to bring in. I think it's going to bring in a whole different segment of people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the biggest changes I've seen. We moved out of East Orange because car insurance alone was killing us. You know, we moved in PA. My wife is driving a Mercedes 300 and paying $100 a month on insurance for full coverage. Now, if we lived in East Orange, it would be $500 a month, more than the car with payment was. So that's the message I say. I love East Orange. I would love to be able to stay there, but realistically, I'm in retirement mode, and I'm looking for nice, quiet, open air, and affordable. That's what we have. We have a nice place. You know, I'm 2.5 hour ride. I still can take it. My wife does the driving, so we still come down quite a bit. In fact, we didn't come down this past week, and one of my dear friends from Quan Daniels had a birthday party down in Bogus. I didn't make it. In fact, the mayor was spinning down there. I know, you know, Ted spins now too. So
So no, that's what I hear. That's what I hear.
Yeah, so that's the biggest change. And I also say probably one of the biggest changes for me, considering, you know, how long I lived in East Orange and how I still love East Orange. It's just that I think that the people, and I say the people, the population, you know, West Indians, you know, people from different countries, not that I knocked it, but if you go down Main Street and Central Avenue, it has a flea market effect. I mean, some of the signs that are in front are made handwritten. You know, it just doesn't look like it used to look. You know, you used to go down Central Avenue, you have Otis Men's Shop, Debonair Men's Shop, you had different really established businesses on Central Avenue and Main Street. You don't have that now. Everything is fly by night, open 1 month, gone the next. You know, that might be the economy, but that's been happening way before COVID. You know, that's the changes that I've seen, you know. But hey, we can pray that it gets better.
No, absolutely. I mean, I know obviously you've seen a few of these, and I was just gonna obviously have some fun towards the end here if you was cool with it.
Sure.
Cool with it. Obviously, I know you're in PA, but like you mentioned, you get back to New Jersey here and there. You're a Parkway or Turnpike guy?
We probably drive the Parkway more than we drive the Turnpike.
Okay.
And the Parkway, you know, if you're from Essex County, you drive the Parkway sometimes just to drive. I mean, I used to go from exit 145 to Bloomfield when I could have drove straight down the side of the Parkway. But I said, I take the Parkway.
Right.
I get off right at the House of Pancakes and I'm good. You know.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of habitual. I only started driving the Turnpike when I started working at Civic. You know, because I had customers down near Great Adventures. So Turnpike is more feasible. Just get on and get off at that exit. I'm there. But now when we come 78, we usually hit the Parkway off 24. You know, that's how we come, you know, depending where we go. So I'd say I'm a Parkway guy.
Parkway guy.
And you got to have an easy pass now too.
I know. Yeah. You're right about yeah.
When I was driving, my wife does the drive now. I never had an easy pass, man. You're looking for coins. You're all in the ashtray. You doing everything. It's better to have an easy pass. Okay? And then you got to swerve over to get in the lane where people are actually collecting those. So
a lot of multitasking. A lot of multitasking.
Then you're on your phone. You know, you got all the things that take your attention span away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Main Street or Central Ave?
Well, I lived on Main Street, so I have to say Main Street. I lived on Main Street in Orange, over top of the bicycle shop. That's telling my age. Of course, from home liquors, because my grandmother lived up there. Yeah. You know, it was convenient because what I would do is, you know, I lived there after my great grandmother passed away. I moved in her apartment. I was able to save money. Plus, it was convenient for me to go to the Orange Y every Saturday, and Sandwiches Unlimited almost every day. Randy Graves, who's the owner of Sandwiches, knows me way back till I was 14. He also was the guy who provided the meals for our football team. So I'd say, yeah, definitely Main Street.
Yeah. Peppermint or Bogies?
You know, I was a club guy, and I'll be honest, Peppermint was cool, but Bogies was more of the club atmosphere that I liked. You know, I worked at Charades, which used to be Dudes. I was a Zanzibar guy,
As a bar,
Club
yeah.
88 guy,
88. Okay,
Pippins
okay.
guy. I used to be I hate to say this, but my senior year I was the best dancer, and I used to hustle, real good dance hustle. So I used to go to Pippins in New York, the Copacabana. I used to,
Nah, you wasn't playing. Yeah, yeah, you wasn't playing.
From Wednesday to Sunday, I clubbed Shanique's, and I never drank. I never drank or smoked in my life, so it was just strictly club. I love music. Like me right now, I would say I'm a house head. My wife is definitely a house head. We know Timmy Regisford, Merlin Bob, T. Scott. Those are all my guys, man. So
yeah, you mentioned all those nights out. You had a go-to outfit that you
I got a couple of go-to outfits. I used to shop at Heaven on Earth. I don't know if that's too old for you. I shopped at Otis a little bit. I shopped at Diplomats in Elizabeth, which that's where I'm a sweater guy. That's why I got my sweaters. I was in more of I like to see myself in things I don't see anybody else.
Right.
So I would spend a little bit more. And then I worked at Debonair's Men's Shop for about 2 years on Saturdays with Mitch Williams before they closed. So I'm pretty. I would say I was pretty neat. I mean, I was never really a big sneakers guy. I was more, unless I played, I was more of a still right now got about 8 pairs of full gaiters in there that I can't put on because of my feet. But, yeah, I would say I am. I mean, people I think recognize me as somebody that was neat all the time and groomed.
Yeah,
that was important to me.
No, definitely. You talked about that earlier. Some of
the grandfather and my uncle, they instilled that in me.
Now, I know the answer to this, but I'm gonna ask anyway. East Orange or FDU?
You said East Orange,
or were you went to college at?
Fairleigh Dickinson University in Madison, Florham Park.
Yeah,
and I had I would say, apprehensive career. I learned a lot about people. I played some great ball. In fact, I made some really good friends playing ball. But I would say that one thing that was good, I was in the EOF program, Educational Opportunity Fund.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. Yes.
Division III doesn't give scholarships, so I had a no-show job, which I did show at a gas station. But the most important thing for me with college was graduating.
Yes.
That was the highlight of probably my grandmother's life, my life, and my family's life. My uncle was smart enough to graduate from college, but in the 60s when he was, coming out of high school, a lot of brothers wasn't going to college. They was either going to war or getting a job. I don't say I have a regret, but I wish had my mother and father not separated, I would have went to Loyola in Chicago. That would have gave me a Division I opportunity. Plus, I would have got to play against DePaul. That's what I wanted to do.
Okay, yeah, I was kind of making a connection there, Loyola, Chicago, and DePaul.
Yeah, I like Clyde used to tell me about the summer leagues in Chicago. Yeah. And I said, damn, I would love to be like Ricky Green. Feel like a lot of great players played there. I would have loved to have been in that mix. I think I could have held my own. I'll be honest with you. I look at players today and I say, wow, if I was born just 15 or 10 years later, because I look at players, man, the way they play, they don't play D at all. I mean, just a couple of guys might, like Klay Thompson plays D. He Ds. But most of the guys are just running and shooting. Man. They're speeding. I mean, I wasn't the fastest, but I was deceptive in terms of I knew my IQ was high. So I watched the person and I understood what they'd like to do and how I could affect them on the defensive end. Yeah, I would wish, like a lot of guys wish, like a lot of guys you talk to wish, man, if I was born 30 years later, I would get and going directly from high school. You know how many guys could have went directly from high school in my era? A lot of guys. Remember, I played against Kelly Creek and TK, beat them both, swept them my senior year. And we swept them. Kelly got no wins against East Orange and Essex County joined them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history, man.
Definitely. You mentioned that 10, 15 years later, they would have had that 3-point line for you too.
Oh my God. That would have been scary, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Tori was saying, man, I said, yeah, man, that line that's all I was shooting. I mean, except for I get a steal, I get a layup. Yeah, we ran plays for me to shoot that corner, Jay. 13, I remember it to this day. Squeeze, bang, I just step pop out and quick release. And my shooting style was like Jamal Wilkes behind my head. So
I know,
never got it blocked. Those kind of deals. Yeah.
Playground, what was your favorite playground to play at?
I always say Little City Court, man. You remember I'm from Arcadia, I'm from Little City. I like playing. We had a league. I like playing there. I was unstoppable there. But in terms of league action, I would say Central Playground and Orange. I love that league, even though that low basket.
Right.
I've had some terrible memories down at that end of the swimming pool. I was telling Robert the other day.
Yeah,
Man,
you ain't get dunked on, did you?
I didn't get dunked on, but I had Hubert Mitchell pin my shot on the backboard with his chest.
Oh, nobody
That's
sent
how,
it to the. They didn't send it to the pool on you, did they?
no pool swats, but just sticking me on the backboard. I don't know if you know Hubert Mitchell. He played with Robert at
Okay.
Orange. He had big vertical. He
Mhm.
jumped up and pinned my shot on the backboard with his chest, man.
Yeah.
I was on the fast break. Boom! He came out of nowhere. And then my
Mhm.
man Johnny Flood, I just love seeing him play there, shooting down, man.
Yeah.
Crazy. I like Central Playground. I like playing over the Colgate too. I played in some league games over there, and I played pickup over there because that was near Main Street where I lived at.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What does Coach Lester mean to you?
Man, it's so funny that you asked me that question. We just went down to his 50th wedding anniversary celebration in Georgia. Me, my wife, Mike Book, and his wife were there. Vinnie Harris was there. He has been somebody that has inspired me to be a great person. And when I say that is that, you play for a coach and you become to know them personally. But he always was genuine with me. Not that he wasn't genuine with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It always made me feel like he appreciated and respected me for what I did for the team, but more so he respected and loved me as a person. I have love for him. Most of the people that play for him have love for him. Now, don't get me wrong. I think when you say that about anybody, coach, friend, family member, whatever, it should be genuine. I can genuinely say from my heart, I love him. He's a great guy. Mac too, Kenny Macklin was a little harder because, he was, like I said, I only got in 2 games as a freshman. I had a little, my grandmother was upset about that, and I was upset too, but it made me a better person and a better player. So I can only thank him for that. We had a banquet for Mac, and we presented him with a plaque from the '75 team. And it's on Facebook. He talked about when Kelvin Troy went to the line. I had fouled out, played before, and I was standing next to him. I said, "Mac, is he gonna make it?" He turned around, looked, he said, "Rodney, he's making these." And I just went, "Oh," and fell out. And he told that story, and everybody laughed, but it was true. That was heartbreaking to me. But he told me he's gonna make these. So yeah, they both were keys to my development as a man. See, forget the player thing. They did that too. But the men that are around you that inspire you and share with you how to be a man are the people you have to look to. Your dad, your uncle, a friend, a cousin, whomever, just showed you the way. They showed me the way. That's why I've been trying to show some of the young guys I'm around the way. I think I had the right way. They still make their own choices, but they showed you the way. They showed you the right way. You have to make the decision to go that way. So I said, yeah, no question. I still talk to Coach quite a bit. He's on our committee for the Basketball Hall of Fame, him and Mac.
Good.
So yeah, very, very inspiring.
Mm.
Okay.
Playing in that Big Ten conference, how was it?
The Big Ten conference, there was only 2 conferences I thought were the top conferences, the Big Ten and the New York City League. When you went down to the New York City League to play, you knew you was in for a challenge. The Big Ten conference, Bloomfield twice, Montclair twice, Orange twice, you developed those rivalries.
Yeah.
The white schools like Kearney and Belleville and them. Well, Belleville, with the exception of the year that Abdel Anderson was there, he was a great player. They gave us a little bit more trouble because Abdel could play. In fact, he went down Rutgers, went to the Final Four with Dabney from East Orange. It was a war most of the time. And then when you played at Kearney and Nutley, and Nutley had a couple of good players. I remember Barry Finley. He was a good player at Nutley, brother. You always were worried about the officiating. I call it the bowling pin effect. You run past a player and he just falls down. You didn't even touch him. But the refs at that time, and remember, early 70s, called foul. And they don't want to see you murdering their teams by 30 and 40 points, which we were. So yeah, that was what it was, a tough conference. One of the toughest. I hated when it dissolved, but I understood it because there was reconstruction of leagues that made that necessary.
Yeah.
Question. I love the Orange twice a year, though. I ain't gonna lie to
you. Yeah.
The Orange East Orange game is probably, I don't think there's many basketball rivalries in New Jersey better, And the reason I think I loved our rivalries better, because we were homegrown talent.
Okay.
My senior year at East Orange, 200 guys tried out. 175 to play. We cut 2 guys that started at other high schools.
Mm.
So that tells you, you lived in the city. I played basketball with guys that weren't on the team. They were very good.
Yes.
So, and Orange was the same way. They had a lot of guys that could play, and they were homegrown. They weren't recruited. See, that's why I wasn't big on the parochial, because they're not guys from their city. They're guys from everybody's city.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people Seton Hall Prep won 5 ECTs. No, they didn't. North, East Orange, wherever they got their players. No, think about it. Look at Seton Hall's best players, Brevin and Brandon Knight. Where were they from? East Orange. Marcus Toniel. I heard your interview with him. He won't admit it because I used to get on him all the time. He almost gave me a heart attack too. I was playing it one-on-one. He was in 8th grade. I couldn't keep up with him.
Yeah.
But he's an EO guy.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Curry, EO guy. Wardell Strickland, I think he's a Norca EO guy.
East Orange.
Ira Bowman, North guy.
North,
so all their real big time players, maybe with the exception of Kevin McDonald, were from different cities.
Mm-hmm.
Seton Hall Prep is in West Orange, but they didn't have any kids from West Orange playing with them.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't give them the props. I know everybody said, well, that's the way of the future recruiting, but the way we played it, I thought was the best way.
Mm-hmm.
I played with the guys I played with from 7th grade all the way through high school.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We grew up playing basketball together. I got a picture of me in the 7th grade standing next to 4 players I played with in high school.
Mm. Yeah.
Not many people can say that.
No, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I know there's many ways to look at it too. I mean, to your point, and then other folks look at it as it's evolving. Kids got to get out and see other things. I mean, many different ways to look at it.
I look at it 2 ways. Back when I was in high school, East Orange from an academic standpoint was great. You could be a great student. It did change. I'm not going to say it didn't, but that in the inner cities, it changed for every high school, because now you had guns, gang violence, you had, a lot of different elements that came into your school system that made it almost a curse if you were somebody who wanted to learn and be good academically. The recruitment of parochial schools was done for 2 reasons. I want a better player. I want that player with the superior talent. And maybe in some cases, I mean, very minute cases, for academics. Because when somebody told me, well, my son's going to such and such because of academics, I said, well, the STEM Academy ranks number 12 in the state academically in East Orange. So if you're living in East Orange, paying taxes in East Orange, why wouldn't you want to take advantage of the STEM Academy? Oh, he's got to go over there. They're fighting everywhere. I said, there's drugs and Parsippany, there's drugs everywhere, just lower scale. Higher scale in terms of what they get, but not promoted the way they promoted in the city. So I give a parent every opportunity to make a choice for his or her son or daughter. No question, that's their business. But don't tell me you're doing that for academic reasons when you're doing it for sports, because a lot of them were doing it for sports.
I hear you.
No, seriously, think about it. A lot of them were doing it for sports. And you know how you know that? Is once they leave those schools. I'll give you an example. Perfect example is Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving started out, where was he going to school?
I mean, he went to MKA. If you're talking about high school, you're talking about, right?
Yeah, MKA.
Yeah, he went to MKA.
Then he left and went to St. Pat's.
Right.
And why did he go to St. Pat's? Want to play a national schedule.
Yeah.
That he didn't leave for academics.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a smart kid, so no matter where he was done academically.
Mm-hmm.
He went to Duke for 11 games. I mean, so it's about who the person is, who the individual is. Me and Shaheen Holloway are good friends. Shaheen, for a fact, lived in Hillside with his family, cousins that I knew. He was from New York, Queens. He was living with them just to go to St. Pat's. I'm not knocking that, but that's what he was doing. He wasn't coming to New Jersey for academics. He was coming for basketball. Now fortunately, he did really great. He's coaching at St. Peter's, coach of the year in MAC 2019. So yeah, he's made a success story out of it. So I thought he would have been a pro if he didn't get hurt. Real good player.
No,
but I'm just saying the generalization is that people come to parochials for sports reasons. And not saying that's not their right. It is. I just liked our area where you played, where you live.
Homegrown, yeah.
Homegrown. You understand. And see, you're in the middle, because you graduated 84, 86.
Oh, I'm later than that. I'm 92.
Oh man, you're a baby. You still got on pants. But in terms of, you in the middle, but you play football.
Yes.
And I don't know if that happens in football, but I do see it happening, because we lost a couple of kids, EOC, that went to St. Peter's. One of them ended up coming back. But a lot of our kids, they get told that message by their coach, hey, listen, you can't go anywhere from East Orange. Why not? We got a player that played in the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl, and is doing well in the league now, Rasul Douglas. So you can play with East Orange and go somewhere. It's just what you do after you finish playing for Eddie Stone. And Rasul went the hard road. He was eating cup of noodle soups at Nassau Community College for 2 years. So I know what road he traveled. Yeah. So yeah, that's my theory. Wherever you go, they're gonna find you. If you can play, you playing at Bean State, they're gonna come find you if you can play. That's how it works.
No, that's right. Now, back to you as far as best game you ever played in your life on any level. Does something just stick out?
Well, I had a couple of games. If I tell people that, they'd be like, think, well, take I'm crazy. But down in my league, one time I scored 80, like 50 in the first half. But I won't hold that one as my best regulation game. My best regulation game probably was my senior year at Montclair. Mike Booker was hurt. He was out for about 4 or 5 games. So I upped my score. I scored 27 at Montclair. And it was a clutch 27. It was a big time game. If there had been threes, I probably would have had 47, but I had 27. That was my best game in high school. Best game in college was probably my freshman year. We played North Rutgers at our place. And it was on my birthday. Okay. I had 24, which doesn't sound like a lot. But for a freshman, that had 24, I did have a 28-point game later that year. But I would say Montclair and the North Rutgers game in college. In the summer league, my best game probably at Branchbrook. We played against Surprise, and they were loaded. They had the late Randy Franks, Pooley Chapman, the late Tyrese Carter. They had a nice group. I played with this guy's team, my man, Quati Tillis. He's you ever heard of Phil Garrett? They called him Rise at manager. No. He played on their state championship team with Jerry McMillan, Troy Chandler. I played with Quati, which is Phil Garrett's brother. Me, Stickman, a couple of us. I had about 38 at Branchbrook one time. In the wind was blowing. The trees are swaying. I was hitting in the wind. I had a couple of good games at Elmwood too, 25, 30. But yeah, I've had fun playing basketball. Nah, definitely. The one thing that I take most pride in is the younger dudes that kind of I instilled to push themselves. I wish a couple of them would have pushed harder, which I don't gonna go into who, but you already know. I pushed him harder than anyone, bro, because he had pro potential, man. No question. Yeah. No question. But hey, we each make our choices. That's not a knock. Your life is your life. You can't live it for anyone else. But what you can do is learn from your mistakes, learn from your positives, and share that with somebody else so they don't make the same mistakes and push forward in the same positives. That's the key. Absolutely. I'm not saying you have to go out and be a messiah. Just live your life and share it, which I do every day. No, absolutely. I know you got this whole Hall of Fame thing going on, but let me put you on the spot here. Your all-time East Orange starting 5. My all-time East Orange starting 5. Of course, the great one, Hassan Greg Ali James. Graduated 69, beat Brian Taylor in the state championship down at Convention Hall AC, over 10,000 in attendance. That's him. Mike Dabney, Final Four with Rutgers, All-State at East Orange. I would say, I all-time starting 5, I probably would, I don't know, I just love this game so much. Clay Eugene, 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, led the nation in junior colleges in scoring. I would put him in there, him, Dabney. In the backcourt, I would put Ken Young, just a coach on the floor, a great handler, a tremendous defender, went down to Duke. In my 5th spot, I would put Clyde Bradshaw. DePaul, great, Final Four, played against Bird. Just a really great all-around player. That would be my starting 5 all time. Who's the 6th man? I'll give you one more. Who's the 6th man? 6th man, I would say Mike Booker, 1,000-point scorer. He probably, a lot of people put him on the first team. I just look at it by his complete game. Not saying he wasn't complete, but I just thought the other 5 were more complete. That's all. Yeah. Who's the best to come out of East Orange? Well, there's a debate there. Some people say Greg Hassan Ali James. And I probably would lean towards him too. But Dabney's got to be up there too. Dabney they're both on Mount Rushmore, both of them, Now, even back then, as far as
Who's the best? I mean, don't have to obviously be stars, but best high school player you saw. I hear a lot of Kelly Tripucka. Is somebody that crosses
Well,
your mind? Who's the best that you've ever
the
seen?
best all-time high school player I physically saw, because I'm a statistics man, so I always research for back and forward. The best high school player I saw in high school is probably Kelly Tripucka, just
Okay.
because, he came to East Orange and played in the Summer League, Elmwood League, when he was only 10th grade. And the
Mm.
guy I mentioned earlier, he's on our committee, Mike McNair, Waterman.
Hmm.
He's the best all-around player in terms of impacting the game in
Okay.
high school.
Okay.
The best individual performance I ever saw in high school was Edgar Jones against us.
Yeah.
28 points, 29 rebounds, about 15, 18 blocks, about 12 goaltends. That was the best individual performance I ever saw. So I go Kelly, best all-around player, Edgar, best individual performance I saw in high school.
Wow. Somebody, however you want to define, made it, but somebody who should have made it.
Oh, there's so many, man. I would say, when you say define made it to the pros.
However you want to define, made it.
There's a couple of guys, I guess I'm close to them personally, so I would say they should have made it. Like Sharif McNeil should have made it.
Mm-hmm.
I worked out with him, played with him every night. He just could do a lot of things a lot of people couldn't do, man.
Yeah.
And I just think if he had that stick-to-itiveness and drive, he could have been a pro, man. No question. He was
Mm-hmm.
exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
I would say a guy named Derek Worthington.
Okay.
Now, you might not know who he is, but at the Oval and at the Civic Center, he was destroying people.
Yeah.
He was actually, I think he would have started over me he would have been a senior when I was a junior. Just couldn't get the plays down. He was just all around, just a talent. Not big, stocky, like a Vinnie Johnson type.
Mm-hmm.
Just flat out kill you, score.
Yeah.
Him.
Mm.
It's the city. You always got guys in the city say, "Damn, he was so good. Why didn't he make it? Why didn't he play in high school?" Johnny Flood. Johnny Flood was unbelievable. Probably a 48 vertical kid, but he just never could stick in school properly.
Mm-hmm.
He was at 3 schools: Orange, East Orange, and Clifford Scott.
Yeah.
Some of the players I really liked, like I don't know if you know Ronald Young. They call him Rock. Clifford Scott, left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
Lord, tremendous, could play, man. I look at a guy that just flat out can play. He was one of those kind of guys. There's a lot. I can go through the whole list. Keith Roberts, Clifford Scott,
Mm-hmm.
really good player, steady, heady, IQ, high IQ. I just like this game. Some guys I just targeted and love their games. Ron Harris, East Orange, played at Cleveland State, really good player. It's unlimited, man. And I got this wealth of stuff in my mind that I always go through. And keeping your mind active is just as important as keeping your body active.
Right.
What you're doing gives you an opportunity to gain knowledge and keep your mind active, man. Can't beat it.
Nah, you can't. Nah, definitely. What's the best part about being Rodney Williams?
Well, right now I would say the best part of being me, man, is having a loving wife, who saved my life, Lori, having my 2 daughters, Tasia and Jasmine, my granddaughter, Harley. And having, I posted my birthday yesterday on Facebook, man. I got to tell you, over 700 people sent me greetings.
That's all right.
That touched my heart, bro. I sat up, man. I said, dang, I touched that many people. And, it kind of almost brought a tear to my eye, because you never know how people feel about you. I say this, even if they didn't like me, they had the niceness to say happy birthday. Many more. They knew my story. They knew my kidney transplant story. They knew it because I shared it. I share that story with people because I want to give them incentive to know that there are people out there that care and love you that you might not even know. You know how many people speak to me that I don't know their name? Hey, hi, Rod, how you doing? I said, oh, I'm good, man. How you been? How you been? How's your family? I'm like, good. I'm like, damn, I don't even know who. My wife would say, who's that? I said, I don't really know their name.
Right.
And that's not being a celebrity. That's being somebody, because when you play ball and when you're active in your community, people might not know you, but they've heard of you and they know who you are. Like you. You'd be surprised. People know who you are. The Ibn, the Quran. They know that's the guy on TV. They call you on TV, bro. You understand? No. Seriously,
Yeah.
I'm not joking about it. When I told Chris, oh, the guy on TV, I said, yeah, we got his podcast. He said, he needs to broaden his horizons. He's got to follow. And you do. I ain't gonna lie to you, because I look at some of these jokers that are on like the Skip Bayless idiot, and Sheevan Shannon. They're on because they knew somebody, not because they're that knowledgeable. Because they're not.
Yeah.
It's not always what you know. It's more who you know. You know that. And see, you inspire young brothers who say, "Well, I want to start a podcast. You inspire them because they see you doing it. You doing it on your own. I don't know. You had my man Steve Tobo on. I really wanted to laugh, bro, because me and him have gone battle.
Yeah,
Like we went to battle this year. His final top ranking. He had Seton Prep #1, us #2. Now Seton Prep was 7-4. I understand they play a parochial schedule, but 4 teams from Essex County won state championships, and they behind you, and we 13-0, and we behind you.
Yeah. It's up for argument. Definitely up for argument. So
rank parochials with parochials, publics with publics. That's how it should be ranked. You can't put a public at the head of a parochial at the head of a public listing, because everybody on that list is a public school. You're supposed to be better. You lost 4 games. You're not better. You didn't win a state championship, and you haven't won anything in over 7 years, 8 years. You can't beat the competition the pool that you're in. So why put them in?
Play on the schedule, right? You play on the schedule.
Well, we used to play Seton Prep.
Right back in that Iron Hill conference. All that other
see, we can't control. We want. I talked to our AD Mike Baldwin. We want to play somebody of that stature, but people steer away from you when they know you got a good program. A parochial doesn't want to lose to a public, so they won't schedule you. We played what's the school? Pope John this year. We beat them. They're parochial, but they were down. They didn't win any games in their league, so he's ahead of them.
Yeah. What I know you got tons of them, but 3 that stick out, 3 of the best moments of your life.
Well, they have to be 2 of them, the birth of both my daughters, Jasmine and Tasia.
Yeah.
And probably I kind of combined one, the marrying of my wife now. Of course, she gave me a kidney and she wasn't my wife yet. So that tells you that she really loved me. She wanted me to her.
Yeah,
that's a big moment.
Without no paperwork.
Without no paperwork, no signed will or nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I love that I used to make my grandmother and my mother who passed so proud of me. My grandmother was my general. She, she managed me, bro. She made sure. As long as I wasn't in the street, as long as I wasn't doing the negative, she was there for me. So bought me my first car, my first apartment. She was there. She wrote me letters at Fairleigh Dickinson like I was at the other side of the country. I was only a train ride away, 30 minutes. So that was important to me. But my top 3, both of my daughters, college graduates. Tasia, she's 33, lives in Georgia, has a 5-year-old daughter. She graduated from school back in. She born in 88. She graduated from college in 2000s. Jasmine, my youngest, 26. She just graduated from Rutgers a couple of years ago. She's in grad school there. So those are my gems, man. Those 3. Of course, my chief in there, Lord. That's it. That's the, I know I post my wife so much, her picture, me and her, that not because she's fine, because she is fine, but more so because I'm so and much in admiration for her being the kind of person that would do something like that for somebody. Because I'll be frank with you, I was 59 years old. I wasn't a top candidate for a transplant. I mean, I have a type O, which is very, very rare. And for her to go into the exchange program and give her kidney was a big deal, And again, like I said, we're married yet. We've been married now, 4 years. So I've had my transplant 4 years. So it's good. She puts up with me. I put her on the spot by her giving me the note, me saying that. She's gonna get on me when I get off, but she knows how I am. She's been with me.
No, it's all good. It's all good. A book on your life. What would you name it? A book on your life. What would you name it?
The book of my life. What would I name it? I would probably name it The Life and Times of Hot Rod. The Life and Times of Hot Rod. Yeah.
Got a little ring to it.
Well, it's funny. There was a player in the NBA named Hot Rod Williams. Good player. He passed away. He played for Cleveland.
Yes.
And people used to say, "Is that you?" And I said, "No, that's not me, man. That brother's in the league." But that brother passed away young, 53 years old, cancer. I followed him though. And then there was another Hot Rod Williams that played at what college did he play? He was a really good player too, athletic to jump. I have to follow him too. I think he wasn't at Louisville. He was somewhere else. But and then there was Hot Rod Hundley, of course, the guy that announced it that passed away.
Yes.
I mean, that nickname just fell on me down when we played in the state tournament. They started calling me Hot Rod.
Okay.
Yes. That's over 40, 50 years ago. So they still call you a nickname from high school. You must did all right. That's how I look at it.
You're right.
And I'm
sure
right. when you talk to your guys, they say, "Oh, Hot Rod, Hot Rod."
It's Hot Rod. No, it's Hot Rod. No, it's definitely Hot Rod. It's definitely that. And speaking of that, as far as at this point where you're at in your life now, what advice would you give that 17, 18-year-old senior Hot Rod? What advice would you give?
Well, I wish I knew more about Black colleges when I was a senior.
Okay.
See, in the early 70s, the HBCU wasn't broadcast. I was a perfect fit for like a Winston-Salem, not because I was close to Cleo Hill, his father Cleo. I was a perfect fit for that league, the CIAA. I'm really close friends with Greg Hines, who Hampton. I had, in fact, Rick Mahorn played on my summer league team one year.
Okay.
That was a perfect fit for my style, running, jumping, shooting, D'ing. I wish I knew about that. Again, I was looking at Loyola Chicago, and then I ended the FDU Madison for personal reasons, but I wish I knew more about the CIAA. That's a great league. And I think it's going to get better now, with primetime coaching Black college football. And they just signed one of the top recruits in the country to go there, playing the CIAA.
Right.
I think it's the place to be. I'm hoping it is.
Likewise, same here. My last one here, I know you talked about it a little bit, but what would your grandmother say about you now?
My grandmother, I'm gonna tell you, how sometimes you have somebody in your life, you can't do any wrong. She would get on me. I mean, don't get me wrong, she would verbally assault me. She would say I turned out the way she wanted me to.
Yeah.
She would say I always stuck to being a righteous, genuine person. Not that I'm perfect, because I'm not, but she would like the fact that I care about other people. I've always done that. I'm a giver. People say, "Oh man, don't give it." I'm a giver. I've never been a taker. I never could take advantage of people. I never could take advantage of a woman. I've always been a giver. Sometimes I got burnt. I'm not gonna lie. But she would respect the fact that she taught me that. In fact, I'll give you an example. When I was in high school, my grandmother used to buy my girlfriend's gifts for Christmas and Valentine's Day. She used to tell me, "Don't ever be an N-word that don't give somebody something." So I never was. She taught me that. Don't be a man that doesn't treat a woman right. Now think about it. I have 4 sisters. I'm really raised by my grandmother's mother. So women, I was around women my whole life. So she'd be proud that way. She would say I turned out the way she expected me to. For real. I miss her. So how sometimes you can do something, you can hear somebody saying something in your ear that what my grandmother would say, or your mother. I hear her all the time. I hear her through my wife sometimes. My wife doesn't know. She says the same exact thing my grandmother would say when I do something silly.
Yes. Nah. Speaking of proud, I'm like so proud to just have this opportunity, few minutes with you here. I know we've talked in the last few months here and there, and just to finally connect with you and just hear a little bit about you. Like I said, I just want to say thank you. Like I was excited to just catch up with you today, and like I said, I appreciate this, and I look forward to the whole Hall of Fame thing and whatever else you're doing, or even just me texting or calling just to check in on you.
Maybe you can definitely come out to it. And what I'll do, we're not friends on Facebook, so we have to become friends on Facebook. Then I'll send you an invite. Then you can look in periodically. If you have some suggestions or something, you can share with me. And I got to tell you, I'm probably more honored to be on this show than you are to have me on this show, because I've witnessed some of the people you've had on. So be amongst that group of people, all of them, is an honor for me. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And I want to tell you, man, expand your deal, expand it. Do whatever you need to do. Make sure you hone your skill and make it so that people want to come on you, call you, and say, "Listen, I need to get on the show." That's what you got to do. Because I think now that you're starting to grow, you've had what, over 100 shows. How many shows would you get?
Not yet. I'm not. I'm right there though. I'm knocking on the door.
I know you're right there. You got a lot. Just thank you again for having and tolerating because I talk a lot. I can't help it.
Nah.
Talk for a living.
I'm still that young sponge that soaks everything from everybody.
Well,
I
you know,
appreciate it.
the first thing I learned when I started speaking in public was I was a listener. I would show up to an account. Like, for example, I did presentations at Allied Signal and Belcorp Communications to detail their medical benefits. I would show up early, sit in the audience and listen to some of the things people were saying. Then when they called me up, they said, oh, he was sitting out here with us. Then they knew that I was aware of what their concerns were, and I would address them right away. Any personal questions, I would tell them, hold to the end of the meeting, we'll address the personal stuff. Because you don't want to blow out everything in front of people. But one thing I can say that you do good is be that sponge. Because each time you gain knowledge from someone else, you will incorporate that into your knowledge base, and you will be able to express, oh yeah, I know about that, that. See, it's all a growing circumstance. No matter how often you do this, you learn something new each time.
Right.
And if I tell you, I'm learning, I'm 65, I'm still learning. When you stop learning, I don't think you still live it. You always should be open to learning.
Totally agree.
Because what you share with one person might not be available or optional to share with another. But thank you again. I appreciate it, bro.
Nah, likewise. And I'll definitely be in touch.
Oh, no question. I'm gonna send you a friend request so you can get on. So I get you on the Basketball Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Looking
All right,
forward
man.
to it.
Have a good rest of your week, man. Thanks again.
Likewise. Be well.
All right.
All right. Take care. Great stuff. Great stuff. Man, I enjoyed doing this here. Getting a chance to just meet and talk. Obviously, sometimes sports being the vehicle, but just other parts and facets of people's lives, and just hearing them. Like I said, I totally enjoy this. And I just appreciate those who are listening and check for these or what have you. I did this thing, Hot Rod, just for the opportunity to just spend some time with me. It's like a little kid in a candy shop, just happy, excited. I continue to be that. So no, thanks, Hot Rod. That being said, I'm gonna slide on out on this. I put my hand over my heart. That means I feel you. Yeah.